right. Good morning. Good morning. Had a pretty laid back weekend. My wife she got sick here, so she got a big head cold, coughing up stuff, kind of like what I've got. She hates that I share with her so often. Yesterday was her birthday, but she just stayed home in bed. Basically, she didn't feel good. We did play some games. We played some Jackbox games. For those of you who are familiar with that, it's, her favorite's the murder mystery party. And then you don't know Jack. So we played some of that yesterday, just with our daughter in New Jersey. Was able to get online on the Google Meet basically and play halfway across the country with some Jackbox games. So that was pretty cool. But otherwise, apparently we're never going to move home. That's what it feels like. Apparently there's some tile that was ordered that still is not here, and nobody can tell me when it's going to be here, and everything's just kind of stopped at the house waiting on this tile to get here. So it feels like we're never going to get to go home. Where's everybody at this morning? A bunch of people came in, and now we're just sitting here. So, well, we're going to get going now. We can't wait forever for folks to get out of bed and join us here in our meet. So, we're going to get started and take a look at what our lesson is for this week. Okay, let's go to our grade screen as usual. And we see that we've got all the way through 4.03 finished now. So we've had 2 programs. We've had 2 quizzes. This week is lists. And lists are very, very useful in programming. They're used a lot out there in the programming world. So we're going to look at that lesson. And then next week we have a project. So we'll have 2 programs in a row here just because we're at the end of a unit after lists. So we're going to look at 4.04. Make a list and check it twice. Oh, no, where have I heard that before? Oh, types of ice cream flavors, top Google searches, animals that are considered endangered, names of Lego sets, presidential candidates. All these things have something in common. They are lists of values, things, names, occurrences, some collections of data. So these values scattered separately would look like an endless pile of Post-it notes. But when organized into lists, they suddenly make a whole lot more sense, right? So in programming, we can organize collections of data together in order. So when we need them, they're nice and tidy in one place. So we're going to learn how to explain how lists can be used to store a collection of data and how to traverse through lists using a for loop. So since we know how to do for loops, we can use lists. Go to page 2 here and take a look at a little bit more information. Organizing your list. So when you search for music in iTunes, or you can search by song or a genre or artist, or even by the rating. So each of these pulls from a set of data that's already programmed into iTunes. So when you add that to your library, that data gets added to the program. So when you work with large sets of data, it helps be able to store and organize it. So Python lets you do that with a list. That's a structure in, they misspelled Python, in Python. It's a structure in Python that stores multiple values. Boy, somebody didn't pass English class and they're working for this website. It's a structure in Python that stores multiple values, even though that's not what that says. You can add data to the list. You can delete it. You can change it. When you create lists, Python assigns them to an index position. Thank you, Aaron. The specific position of a character in a string or an element in a list. So the first index is 0. Remember, Python starts counting at 0. So the first item in your list is index number 0. And then the second thing is number 1. The third thing is number 2, and so forth and so on. So they get that as a great big note right there, that if you want the first thing on your list, that is number 0 on your list, because that's how Python counts, starting at 0. So big letters right there in the screen. So let's compare a non-programming list to a programming list. So notice in the regular list, you're going to start with number 1, but in a Python list, you're going to start with 0. So this is important because if you would change an item on your list, say, hey, replace item number 2, you got to realize that that's the third item. So start with 0. So slide the bar back and forth to compare the 2 sets of data. All right, here's a non-programming list. It's our GeekyCon to-do list. So we can make that with Python or not with Python, but we got to be ready for GeekyCon when it gets here. Number 1, get membership online before deadline. Number 2, book your hotel with your friends. 3, plan your costume for GeekyCon. 4, get your costume supplies. 5, sew your costume. 6, construct your dragon wings. 7, book your travel. 8, download the convention app because you don't want to miss anything. 9, pack everything. And 10, go to GeekyCon. But in Python, it looks like this. 0, get membership online before deadline. Number 1, book hotel. See, this is a 0 through 9 list, where normally if you just wrote it on paper, it'd be 1 through 10. So everything looks exactly the same, except for how it's numbered. So that's important to remember. We got this whole little fancy graphic dedicated to that. So, all right. Page 3. What can you do with lists? Well, Python's list structure allows you to become an organizational genius. Create lists of your dreams right here. You can add, delete, manipulate items in your list, all by referencing their index number. So here's a list that breaks it all down. 0, you can give your list a name like GeekyCon to-do list, and that will store as many items or elements of data as you need. Number 1, you can delete any element you want to remove. Number 2, you can add new elements. Number 3, you can replace elements with new ones. Number 4, you can access or reference the elements of the list. So we have to understand the syntax. What if you want to make a list of all the things you need to do before the convention? So this list ensures you don't forget any of your geeky essentials right here. So here's how you do it in Python. GeekyCon to-do list equals, right? Just like anything else, we create a variable name and an equal sign will assign values to it. Now here's how the list works. You put a bracket at the first, bracket, and a bracket at the end. So it's in brackets, these square brackets. That tells Python, these brackets, that I'm creating a list. That's why I put brackets. So notice that everything in this list is a string. So since these are like actual words, we're putting them in quotes. Here's the first thing on my GeekyCon list. Quote, get membership online before deadline, quote. And then we separate everything by a comma. So to create our list, we got to have a variable name equals brackets, and then everything that's on our list is inside the brackets, separated by commas. Right? So put things in quotes if they're words. Book hotel with friends, plan costume, gather costume supplies. What if you just want to make a list of numbers? Well, that's a little simpler. The GeekyCon memberships per day list. Brackets, you just put the number and a comma. You don't need to put them in quotes. Quotes means it's a string value. If it's not a string value and it's actually numbers, you just put the numbers and separate them by a comma. And that's how we make a list. And what if you don't know? You can create an empty list. You can say empty list equals, or you can even call this your GeekyCon to-do list. You just haven't put any things in it yet, but you just put an empty bracket and say, I want to create this list and I'll be putting things in it later, but here is the name of the list and I set it up, please, in Python. So you can make a list of words, you can make a list of numbers, you can just make an empty list and fill it up with stuff later. All right, now let's look at actually a program using lists over here. Get a little more information on lists here. So traversing the list. So let's figure out how to do things with our list. Like, does a list have to have a name? Yes. It doesn't have to have the word list in the name, but you got to have a name, something, so you can reference your list. It's got to know what is this list called. How do you create it? Remember, we create a name, to-do list, whatever you want to call it. then equal sign, and then brackets. And you put everything in your list in brackets, separated by commas. Wake up, brush teeth, get dressed, eat breakfast. What if we want to know how long our list is? We made this long list and it's getting longer, how long it is. There's a command called length equals LEN. So length is a variable. That's not a command. LEN, to-do list. Now notice the to-do list was right here's the name of our list. And if we say LEN, that's telling Python, hey, tell me what the length is and store it in this variable that I've called length. And it'll say like 4, because right, wake up, brush teeth, get dressed, eat breakfast. There's 4 things. And it'll say there's 4 things in your list. Now, what if we want to access something specifically? We'll have a guided activity at the bottom. Since each item's assigned a number, like, wake up is item number 0, brush teeth is item number 1, get dressed is item number 2, and eat breakfast is item number 3, I could say print to-do list 1. So it'll print brush teeth because that's item number 1. Notice to reference the to-do list item number 1, we give the name of the list and then use a bracket with the index number. I want number 1. How do we access like a bunch of things, all of the things in the list? So here's using a for loop. For in range 0 to the length of the to-do list. That's real handy. I don't even have to know how long the list is. I want you to loop from number 0, which is the very first item on the list, to however long the list is. And I want you to print, and here, this is great because this is in our assignment this week. This is part of our program. And this right here tells you exactly how to do it. Item number 4. How do you traverse or access the values on the list? Print string in. What is that? That's the value of the loop. This is item number 0. This is item number 1. This is item number 2. This is item number 3. Print item number 0 with a space, and then actually print what that item is with an exclamation mark. So when it does that the first time to the loop, it'll say 0, and it'll put wake up with an exclamation mark. And then it'll say 1, brush teeth with an exclamation mark. And it'll print your entire list for you, numbered to the screen. What if we want to append the list? Which means add an item. If you want to add an item, I've got this list already created. I need to add something else to the list. Name of the list, to-do list, dot, you put a period, append. And we're saying, hey, I don't know how long the list is, but add this to the end of it. Stay in pajamas. So it will automatically add that to your list, and now your list has another item in it. How about deleting an item on the list? DEL. To-do list number 2. So whatever the second item, the third item, the number 2 index, whatever the value is in index number 2 will be deleted. And so number 3 will become number 2, and number 4 will become number 3. It'll delete one item on the list. How about changing a list? I had this as my first item, but I want to replace it. To-do list number 4 equals find clothes. So that's going to go and find out what the number 4 thing is, and it's going to change it to find clothes. So instead of stay in pajamas, it's now find clothes. All right, let's look at it as a sample in our program right here. Lists in Python. We've got 5 different sample programs down here. Define main. Names equal Chewie, Captain Kirk, Hermione, Storm, Buzz. Length equals, tell me how many names are on my list. LEN names, right? Print. At GeekyCon, you have, and now wants to print the length, however many is in this list, characters to find. They are. And then print them. Print names. And that's the end of the program. So let's see what that produces. At GeekyCon, you have 5 characters to find. They are Chewie, Captain Kirk, Hermione, Storm, and Buzz. When we tell it to print the list, because this is the name of our list right here, it just prints it with the brackets and commas, and everything. But it'll just print the whole list right there to your screen. You don't have to do anything. Just tell it to print my list. Here's your list. So you got to go to GeekyCon. You got to find these characters, right? These are the ones you got to go find. All right. And this was that length command, LEN, because we saved that as length. Look at this list and tell me how many names are on it. And then I printed that right there in that sentence. So there's 5 things on the list. We can see Chewie, Captain Kirk, Hermione, Storm, Buzz. All right, let's look at slide number 2. So let's see what we've done here. Chewie, Captain Kirk, Hermione. Okay, same list, same length. Oh, now we're saying first, and we're going to that list of names and getting item 0, which is the first thing on the list. So we'd expect the first to equal Chewie. And last, now look how we do this. Go to the list and get me length minus 1. Length is 5, right? Because it counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if we want to print the last thing on the list, we can't say, give me item number 5, because there is no item number 5. There's item number 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's not an item number 5 because it starts counting at 0. Don't forget that. So if we say names length minus 1, that'll get us the last item on there on the list. Because the length is 5, we subtract 1, it's 4. So the item number 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, is this one right here. So print first, whatever is the first name is the first character I want to meet, and this will be the last character I meet. And that's the end of it. Let's run this program. There it is. Chewie's the first character I want to meet. Buzz will be the last character I meet. Chewie, Captain Kirk, Hermione, Storm, Buzz. So this is good example of how to pull things from your list. All right, let's look at this third slide here. Roll over the code, predict the output. Try changing the message printed with the names. All right, well, first let's look at what it does. Very short, define main, and here's where we run the main function. Names equal Chewie, Captain. Okay, this doesn't change. Same 5 names. The length hasn't changed. For n in range 0 to length. So it's going to go 0 to 5, which means it'll stop when it gets to 5. Print hello plus name whatever index number we're on. First, it'll do 0, name 0, name 1, name 2, name 3. Let's run this. Hello, Chewie. Hello, Captain Kirk. Hello, Hermione. Hello, Storm. Hello, Buzz. It used a for loop and used n. N is the number it's using to go through the loop. And it used that to index our list and say, okay, first print hello with the 0 item on my list. Well, that's this one, right? Because it starts counting at 0. And then the 1 item, and then the 2 item, and the 3 item, and the number 4 item. And then it exits the loop because it gets to 5 and jumps out of the 4. Say, hey, look. Run program. Hey, look, it's Chewie. Hey, look, it's Captain Kirk. So whatever you put in there in that print statement, it's just going to index these names and go through them one by one and print them all. Everything on your list with this for loop. That's great because we need to do a for loop in our program this week. This gives us some great examples. It's going to make it so easy if we just go back and look at how they do it in these samples. All right, this one's a little longer. Look at that. Define main. Here's our list. Same list. There's our length. LEN names. So that's going to be 5. Print the original list, and it'll print it. There's where it's going to print our original list. Print names. So to print those. And then we're going to print a blank line because we want to put a little space. And then we're going to replace the value in the list. And it says, okay, now I want name 1 which would be the second item, to be Spock. So we're going to print Spock just replaced Captain Kirk. And then we're going to print the list again. And we're going to print another blank line. So here is how you can replace something on the list. Choose which item. We said name index number 1, which is the second item. And this command right here replaced number 1 with this new value. And so we said what happened, and then we printed again. Then names, there's our list, dot append. Well, dot append means, okay, I don't know how long the list is. Don't care how long the list is, but add this to the list. Just add it to the end. So now we've added a new name to the list. Add Rex from Toy Story. Print Rex is added to the list. And then it's going to print the list again with a blank line. And then finally, we're going to delete a value. Delete whatever the number 4 indexed item is. Well, let's see. 0, 1, 2, 3. It's going to delete Buzz. We changed Captain Kirk to Spock. We added Rex after Buzz, and now we're going to delete Buzz. Delete name 4. Buzz is deleted. Print the list again. All right, so we're going to print the original list. We're going to replace Captain Kirk with Spock, print it again. We're going to add Rex, print again. We're going to delete Buzz, print again. Let's run our program. The original list, Chewie, Captain Kirk, Hermione, Storm, Buzz. Then there was when Spock replaced Captain Kirk. So Captain Kirk is gone. He was the second item there in index number 1. He's gone. He's been replaced. Now Rex is added. We have 6 items now because we have a new character added to the list. And then we had the command and deleted. Look, Buzz is gone now. It was Storm, Buzz, Rex. Now it's just Storm, Rex. Buzz has been deleted. So this slide shows you 3 different commands you can use to manipulate your list by changing something on your list, adding something to your list, and deleting something from your list. So when you email me and say, Mr. Brock, I don't know how to add something to my list, I'm going to say, you didn't go to the lesson. Look at page 4. Look at slide 4. Slide 4 shows you exactly how to delete something from your list or add something from your list or whatever you're trying to do. And finally, slide 5. Let's see what we're doing here. Let's see. This is our changed list because it has Spock and Rex and no Buzz and no Captain Kirk. And photos. Look, we've got another list. This is a new list that we call photos, and it has 5 numbers. And we've set another variable called total and set it equal to 0. All right, what are we going to do with these new lists and variable here? For in and range, 0 to length of name. So again, we're looping through our list, however long the list is, which happens to be 5 things long. Print names in. So first it'll print Chewie because it's going to be 0 when it starts. Took photos in. So the 0 indexed photo number, photos. And then it's going to add however many photos that is to the total. Starts at 0, going to add those totals. And then it's going to, at the very, very end, after it comes out of the loop, because these are indented, so they're part of the loop. This is not indented. It is not part of the loop. At the end, it's going to say how many totals for photos were taken. So let's run this. Chewie took 45 photos. Spock took 12. Hermione took 33. Storm took 24. Rex took 106 photos. Total photos taken, 220 photos. It added the 45 plus 12 plus 33 plus 24 plus 106. So look how we do that with the list and the for loop. So we set up everything in the list, the names and the number of photos. We created a for loop, started with 0, and it goes through 4 because it'll stop when it gets to 5. The length is 5. And remember, it exits the loop when it gets to that number. So it'll say, okay, what's the 0 item thing? Chewie and 45. So it prints Chewie and 45. Then the loop goes through again. It added 45 to our total. went to the loop again. Now n equals 1. Start at 0. Now it's 1. So it's going to print the number 1 item on the named list, which is Spock. And it's going to do the number 1 photo total, which is 12. Spock took 12. Add 12 to the total. Go to the loop again. Now it's 2. So it'll print Hermione and 33. Add 33 to the total. Full 3. Now it's 3. We'll print Storm 24. Add 24 to the total. Now it's 4. Rex and 106. Add that to the total. Now it's 5. So it exits. Because when it gets to 5, that says stop when you get to this number. Print. So try changing the values in the photo list. Okay. Maybe Rex only took 6 photos now instead of 106. And Chewie only took 25. But Hermione, she really likes her photos, so she got 63. See, now it's 25, 63, only 6. 130 photos taken, and almost half of them are one person. This is how the lists work. This is how you set a list up. Then you can set a second list up, use them both. A for loop. Checking right there. All right, let's go to the last page. It says practice, which is back on page 4. Is a good place to practice. And let's look at the assignment template. So here in Google Classroom, let's go look at the template for this assignment. To This Week in Buzz with template. All right, here's what our program needs to be this week. You're going to pick a category and make a list of your 5 favorite things. Whatever category that list is, right? Suggested categories include your favorite actors, your favorite books, your favorite cars, whatever you want it to be. Right? So you're going to choose a list of your favorite things. Use Python idle. Make sure you have your main function in there. Make sure you got your name, date, description program. Let's see. Indent things properly. Meaningful names for all variables. All right. So after you make your list, which you know how to create a list now, we just looked at that. Ask the user what their favorite is in your category. Like you've got your list. Like I've got my list of favorite football players, favorite quarterbacks, or whatever I did, right? So favorite quarterbacks, and favorite college quarterbacks, favorite pro quarterbacks, or something. And then we'll say, who's your favorite college quarterback of all time? So the input statement there will ask the user who's their favorite. Then we're going to create a list. Well, we've already created a list. We're going to have a loop and some if statements to print a message to let the user know if their favorite matches on the list. Hey, that's my favorite too. And then I will print my list to the screen and number them. Number 1 on my list is this quarterback. Number 2 is this quarterback. Number 3 is this quarterback. Number 4 and number 5. And somewhere on that list should match theirs if it's a match. Or, oh, sorry, that didn't match mine. Here's my favorite 5. So you're just checking to see if what they typed is on your list with an if statement. If user input equals, and you got to use a loop to check every one. First, I'm checking my list number 0. Now I'm checking my list number 1. Does it equal my list number 2? Does it equal my list number 3? I'm checking to see if it equals each one. If it does, I'll print a message and say, yay. If it doesn't, okay, it didn't match. So write your pseudocode, figure out a plan. What are you going to need? And you may not know it first, so just start your pseudocode. And as you write your program, if you figure it out, oh, I need to put this in there, go back and add that to your pseudocode. That's not uncommon. When we write a plan, sometimes we've got to go back and adjust our plan as we start writing this and figure out, oh, yeah, I need that too. All right. Here's what someone else's program did. What is your favorite Star Wars character? And so there was an input that popped up, and it said, someone typed in Chewbacca, And so they ran a loop and they checked and it says, cool, we both like Chewbacca. Here are my top 5 favorites. Number 1's Chewbacca. Number 2 is Yoda. Number 3 is Rey. Number 4 is R2-D2. And number 5 is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Here's my list of 5. And notice it's numbered. Also notice it's not numbered 0 through 4. How would you number it 1 through 5? You just tell it to add 1 to whatever loop it's on, right? If it's index number 1, add 1 and print it as, hey, this is my first one, not my 0 one. But if you can't figure that out, I'll take a 0 through 4. But that's a nice little challenge for you. Can you number it 1 through 5? And then, of course, answer your questions. So here's your template. Let's see. This is an A day. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Let me check the calendar. I really got to check next year because apparently the AB calendar next year is not going to be like AB, AB, AB. It's going to be like AA, B, A, B, B, A, A, A. It's going to be weird next year. I don't know. All right, let me see. This is A. Yeah. All right. So if you are struggling, I will be here on Wednesday and I will be here on Friday. I'll be here Wednesday and Friday to help you with this program. Or if you're still working on a past program that you haven't got turned in yet, I'll help you with that. So come to class Wednesday if you're struggling. Of course, if your grade's below 70, that means you haven't turned in one of those past programs and you need to come get some help. But I'll be here and I'll say, hey, who needs help with the program? Like last week, I had some folks that came in and I helped them with their programs. And someone's like, I don't know how to do this. And let's look at that. Here's some ways to do that. Or I'm getting this error on line 11. All right, let's look at line 11. We can handle all of that. But this week, Wednesday and Friday, you can come get help with your program. But you need to start. You got to have something to work with. But take a list of your 5 favorite things. Make it fun. Make it something fun. My 5 favorite crochet patterns or something. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway. I always like to have fun with the programs I write. I don't want to do something just necessarily boring. I want to make it a challenge. I want to make it something that kind of excites me when I write the program. So, all right, guys, I will let you guys go and you can get started on this. Didn't take too long to go over the lesson. We'll have another program next week because it's the end of the module. So don't get these stacked up. Some of you are already stacked up, missing a couple already. So, all right. All right, guys, I'll dismiss you, let you get started on this. You got time. You got plenty of time for your next class. You got an hour. You can start on this. You can use your time, get an hour of this done. So we'll see you next week or Wednesday or Friday.